Hi, hello everyone that's joining. Hi, I'm just waiting for Amelia to also join us. We've been trying to go live on her page or the Empress Evolution page, but we couldn't. It didn't went. It wasn't successful. So Amelia, if you just try to join me, we'll just see if it works. Hi everybody. Hi Amelia, there you are. So we had to do something unusual where we will have this live from my page instead of the Empress Evolution page. So hi to everyone that's joining. Welcome. So let's see if, yeah, on. I never put anybody on my live before, so first time. Let's see if Amelia is coming on. Okay, you sent a request. Yeah, but I'm adding you now. So let's see. Waiting.
Yeah! We did it! We did it!
Yeah! Wow!
Oh,
We were to do the live on my page, I think.
basically, like, yeah, that's what they wanted.
Yeah.
And all of the amazing women that were really wanting to sign in and to see this, here they are. Like, you know, we made it happen. This is what not quitting looks like, guys, in case anyone wants to see.
Definitely. So weird. Like we couldn't do it on the other pages, but on mine it's okay. Wow.
Yeah. I almost feel like I need a moment to center my energy, and I'm going to quickly grab something because I'm feeling a bit chilly now. 1 second, guys.
Okay. Hi everyone that's joining. Hi. So nice to have everybody here on this live with us. So we'll be talking a little bit about our spiritual awakening, and our awakening journey is the theme for today. Hello everyone. Welcome.
Yay, exciting.
This is so exciting, but at the same time it's a little scary, but it's mostly exciting.
Yeah, that's like most things in life. Most things in life, when things happen unexpectedly and changes happen, quite often it feels scary, but it's really exciting, you know. And just to acknowledge the elephant in the room with the coronavirus, I feel like it's almost a similar thing. Obviously we do not want anyone suffering, we don't want anyone hurting, we don't want anyone going through anything awful, we really don't, but we have this situation. So what we can do is look for the positives. The positives are a lot of people are getting to spend time with their families, getting to go back to their center, get rest, get a moment to really evaluate what's important in life, maybe make decisions about what areas in their life are not so important, whether they've had friends that they're not meant to be around, whether they've been doing jobs they don't enjoy. But the good news, guys, is my angels are telling me this will end so abruptly and really quite quickly that everyone will just be shocked that it's just over. It's over, and it's just going to be over. But here's the thing, the world will never be the same again afterwards, because we will have had a chance to do some evaluation, to think for ourselves, to realize that the news is toxic and fear-mongering and not helpful. And very simply show love to the elder people in your families by sitting home and being chilled out, and just let's stop the spread of this. We're not going to die. We're going to be fine. All of us young people, and I say young, anyone under 60, we haven't got a worry in the world. But the older people, we have to protect them, and we protect them by staying the fuck at home, basically.
The virus may be frightening, but actually it's bringing people together. Like people are like neighbors and everything. So it's just like raising the vibration of love, because people are coming together, even though it's scary and it's fearful. Yeah.
Exactly. So I wanted to acknowledge the elephant in the room. And I'm on your page. I'm not used to being on someone else's page. It's really funny.
I never had anybody on a live before, but I don't do so many lives, but I've done a couple, but it's a long time ago.
Okay, and also, so anyone wondering why I have wet hair, for very special lives with very high vibration beings, my angels often, less than an hour before the live, tell me to go and have a frankincense salt bath and to wash my hair. They told me to do it before my live with Sandra Biskind. They've done it a few times, so they were doing it. So it's actually in high regard for Tabine and her energy that they want me to be they don't want any of the toxic ether to be around me. They want everything to be in its highest vibration for the information that we're going to be delivering today. So
Yeah. And I even got a message like an hour ago. My angels told me there might be some problems. So this was not a shock to me because they told me you might experience some technical difficulties. So I was like, okay, I will prepare.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, I think funny enough, my angels told me that I was going to need to do a second live after our live. And I thought that was because I'm going to be talking about this big announcement that's for the community. And I was thinking, well, why don't I just say it in the live? Well, now it makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's because that needs to be a separate one that can replay in the community, whereas this one I can direct everyone to. But now it makes sense. So this is the fun thing, guys. You know, when you're dealing with two people that genuinely have direct contact with our angels, it becomes quite fun to see, you know.
Yeah, we never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, we just trust them and obey. We do what we're told, you know.
Yeah, we do. There's no other choice.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
saying that, I wanted to set the energy a little bit. I've got my singing bowl here, so I was just going to hit this just to clear everything. My dog likes that. He just let out a big sigh, like, It's funny. My dog is very spiritual. He just doesn't realize it.
No.
He loves being saged as well. When I'm saging my house, my dog lays on his tummy and rolls around because he really enjoys it. So,
Oh.
yeah. So a bit of sage for everybody as well.
Yeah.
The energy is super high. It's super high, isn't it?
Yeah,
we knew
I'm feeling
it would be. We knew it would be, didn't we?
Yeah, I expected this.
Yeah. My angels just said it's a reunion. That your face is very familiar to me. But last time I saw it, it was actually in heaven. So it's quite interesting to because this is the first time we've looked at each other's faces. But I remember you. I remember you from there. I can feel it.
Yeah, and I've seen you too, baby.
So exciting. And anyone, I forgot for a minute that it's your page, so I was just going to tell everyone she's in Norway, I'm in America. Obviously a lot of my followers have come over to see me here. Anyone that's not aware, I have a community called Empress Evolution, which is a divine feminine actual community. All the women in it are divine feminines on the twin flame journey, and really, really high vibration women. And we have all sorts of events and things, and we actually have regions across the whole world. So every part of the entire world has a coordinator and a private group, and you can join the group for your private area, and then you get to meet and know other women that are on the same path as you, that are the same vibration as you. And the reason I was guided to do this is that having high frequency friends changes your whole life. And having sisters that you can relate to, that you can have as your friends in your life, it's just everything, you know. And even for us two, you're witnessing it for us two. This is amazing for us, for us to have each other. And this is being created by the community, us two being together. But we want the same thing for you too. So
I joined the European group. So I'm in the European chat now with some other lovely ladies, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, beautiful. And this is the thing, everything about our community is fair, it's equal, it's love. Everybody works on a volunteer basis. So obviously I don't get paid for it, and none of the coordinators do. We all do this out of love. I will let you know the big announcement, because it does involve you if you want to be as well. So we're doing a live invite on your own page. So I was guided just a few days ago. Hi, Jen, darling. I was guided a few days ago. It was out of the blue one morning. My angels just said, okay, so we're going to have tarot readings every day on Empress Evolution. I was like, okay, well, I'm not doing that. I don't do that. And they were like, that's okay. They said the coordinators do. So then I leave a message in my private coordinator chat and I'm like, hey, girls, how many of you read cards? Next thing you know, like 14 of them send me a thumbs up. I'm like,
wow.
Okay then. There were like, it was like 9 or 10 actually. It was about 9 or 10, but it was still like, whoa, because almost you would think that back in October, nearly 6 months ago when I started the community, you would think that I had chosen women to coordinate that read cards. Well, most of them didn't at that time. Some of them did. Some of them very much didn't. It was their full-time job. But some of them, it's actually this growth spurt in this last 6 months has put them in this position. So, yeah. So basically, we are going to have a reading done every single day. And what we've done is we've partnered each of the coordinators up with each other. But we're leaving an open slot on Mondays and Fridays, so that every other Monday or Friday, we can have a guest, and that guest can be someone from the community, like yourself. And so we would like to invite you to do not this Monday, but the following Monday as our first guest. And yeah, so if you're up for it and it's whatever you want, you literally can send a video or photos or a written description. It's whatever you want. And again, this is the energy of Empress Evolution. You know, the coordinators have one job description: love your members.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I'm thinking immediately to like maybe use some of the decks that says like it has to do with light workers and star seeds.
Absolutely.
Like what is the collective energies and what is the message for the collective right now? And definitely it's something I would like.
It's making me get all like, I'm getting all like cold shivers because it's like my angels are like,
yeah,
this is what we're meant to be
I could do like a video or just a photo. I will see whatever the angels want me to do.
Yeah, yeah. So we would love you to be the first guest on a Monday. And so Mondays and Fridays, we will have a guest. So it's not just coordinators. But I would say this, the coordinators very much deserve to have their daily slots because they've worked for nearly 6 months. In 10 days' time, it will be 6 months that these coordinators have worked for free to serve the community. Yeah. So they absolutely deserve to be doing a reading every other, every week for you guys, you know. But again, they're in partnerships. So you'll have, like, for example, Jacqueline on a Wednesday, and then the following Wednesday it will be Pooja that looks after India. Then the following Wednesday it'll be Jacqueline again that looks after New York. So it gets everybody to get to know the coordinators because I want it to feel so much like a community. Just the more community, the better. So it's run by us, it's for us, it's to serve us. It's promote us. It's everything good in the world, you know. And
definitely, like if people are having a rough time and some are like purging collective energies, you need to know, like if I do a reading and people like, okay, so this is what is happening to me, and can have some comfort in that, just knowing like this is a collective thing and it's not just me or.
Absolutely, absolutely. And not only that, what I love is obviously these coordinators were chosen because of their locations. They cover every part of the planet. So these readings are coming from every country in the world. And every day we will announce where they are. Like we may have Nessa Lopez from South America. I can't remember her day at the moment. I think she's Saturdays. So for example, you know, things like that. So it's really, really fresh. It feels really good. So during March, I'm still going to keep my hands on it and try and make sure everything runs smoothly. But as we come out of March and into April, then we're going to be more self-contained and the community will start running itself. So it will just be automatically. So So I'm really, really happy. I feel like this is all perfect because I get to ask you in front of everybody to be our first guest, and we're really.
It will be my honor. Yes.
So everybody, let's get straight into it. I'm not sure what time we actually finally got on because I know we tried starting at 1:11 and it's now 1:38.
And it's now 30 minutes after we plan to go on, so.
Okay, because I want to make sure that we don't get cut out. Like, if we do get cut, like, I'm wondering, because you get 1 hour. If you were to guess, what time do you think we came on your page?
I think that maybe like 12 minutes ago. I'm hearing 12 minutes.
Okay, so 12 minutes ago, 39, 29, 27. Okay, so if we got on 27, that means we're okay. I just want to make sure that by maybe 2:20, then we wrap up so we don't get cut off abruptly. And then you can post it as a replay on your page, which would be wonderful.
I can.
Yay! So, darling, should we get started and talk about the very early days of our lives? When we, maybe before all of this happened, because I feel like it's really great for everyone to have the anchor that, you know, sometimes when you're seeing people like us too, and you might think we've been like this all our lives. And I want us to touch upon who we were before our awakening, and then we will move through and work our way up to the present. So yes, do you want to tell us a little bit about you before your awakening?
Yeah, because like you say, like a lot of people think like we've been this forever, but and even to this day, I have to say, like, I am not like completely healed and just perfect. No, no, no. But I'm definitely on my path of healing and even higher awakening, higher consciousness. But before, I have to think, sometimes I have to think like my life in two parts, because it's the one part where before I had my awakening, and it's the one after that. So sometimes it's even hard just to think about the person I was before. Because your whole life changes when you have this spiritual awakening. And when I say spiritual awakening, I'm not like, oh yay, I'm feeling good. Like it's hallelujah, the heaven is open and the angels are here. That is
absolutely. I've not even been feeling well the last few days, but yesterday the sun came out and I was like skipping around my house. And all I could think of was just like, I live in heaven. I live in heaven. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, I must be almost feeling better. You know, I mean, it's ridiculous how high you can get, you know, in life.
But it doesn't mean that like I'm like over here all the time. I have my days, and I also have like I purge for the collective, and I transmute a lot of energy and do those things. But I never get caught up in it. I don't stay. If I have a bad day, I don't stay there. I tell myself it's a bad day, it will get better tomorrow. So I never stay in any negative emotion or, I just go out of it.
I think with myself, because of how much I've trained my mind with regards to putting my ego to sleep, if I sense a negative emotion, to me, it's like a fire alarm going off. I kind of stop, look at it, I'm like, what are you? Where does it come from? Am I tired, sick or hungry? Okay, need to rest, need to sleep, need to eat. I'm very... they're showing me like an ambulance person. Like for me, it's such a major thing. If I have a dip in vibration, I literally address it immediately and resolve it. It's not actually an option for me to vibrate at a lower level. I can't do it. I literally, it feels like I don't have oxygen. If my vibration goes down, it's serious and I have to get back up as quickly as possible. The best way at the moment, if that happens to you, is to take a frankincense and salt bath and dunk your head. That's the best way to raise your vibration, because there's a lot of gunky energy in the air at the moment, and that's the only thing I know of that will clear it off. So carry on.
If I'm like all of a sudden I feel like depressed or sad, I just know immediately like it's not me, because why would I just all of a sudden just be sad? It makes no sense. So I just tell myself, it's not mine. So I just tell myself, okay, I will just wait a minute and it will just pass. So just tell myself it's not mine. And don't accept that it's like sad now. Just wait for it to pass.
I think that's very important, because when people say, I'm sad, I'm depressed, I'm worried, you're owning something that's not yours. Obviously, we don't have the time now to go into the whole thing about the ego, but please understand that each human in the whole world has an ego that's trying to self-sabotage you and trying to pull you down. And if you say I am and then the negative word, it means that you have collectively grabbed onto your ego, pulled it in close and said, this is me. Whereas
and accept it.
You actually need to do the opposite, which is push it over there and say, that's not me, that's not mine.
No, no. So when I awakened, it was in 2013. I knew nothing about, I haven't given spirituality even a thought. Like, I believe that passed over loved ones can come back, like, and say hello and that stuff, but nothing more than that. So when this happened to me, it was like a whole new world just opened. And when it happened, I didn't immediately like started doing mindfulness and becoming conscious that I had an ego. It was actually, I think it was 2 years later, then a cousin of mine who also experienced the same, he actually told me that when certain situations appear, you have to ask yourself, like, why am I doing this? Why is this sudden behavior coming? And you have to like find the root of it.
Sorry, it's 144 here. I just had to point it out to everybody. Carry on, darling.
Yeah. So I wasn't like starting to do mindfulness. It changed my whole life, because before that I was just living in my mind and I was going with whatever feeling came to me. So if I felt sad, okay, I was sad that day. Like, that was my way of living, you know. But after I started doing mindfulness, and when my cousin told me, like, you have to find out why you're having these thoughts or why you're acting that way, like, where does this come from? Because it can be like something from childhood or another life, you know. So when I became conscious about that, and that is when the real healing started. Like, when I got to the root of some problems and to see how that has affected me in the current, like in the moment right now. Yes. And then I can tell myself, like, this isn't me. This is just a wound from childhood or whatever. So if you're acting like this, it's not you. It's just that. And just by knowing that, it can pass.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. A little bit about my background. So it's quite funny. It will almost seem surreal. So I was the biggest socialite in London. I was hanging out backstage at concerts with Ja Rule and Ashanti, and hanging out in nightclubs with Jay-Z and all sorts of things like that. And had my hair braided back and used to wear funny outfits. And I was just like a tomboy. I was like, oh, it was just, I was something else. And I used to be partying 7 nights a week. Had a bit of a temper. I was actually more scared of myself than anyone else. I was scared of my temper. Used to smoke weed. If I didn't have weed, I would get very angry. And I was scared of that anger because I was worried of what it might make me do. I never did anything, but it did bother me. And then in 2009, I met my twin flame. He is a famous rapper from America. He was visiting London with Rihanna and Jay-Z. And he told me I was his soulmate and that me and him should move to America and get married. And that's basically what we should do. And I said no. And as a result of running from him, when really he offered me everything I ever wanted in life, I felt this dip and this depression I'd never felt before in my entire life. I literally remember just being like, oh, like I couldn't move. I just felt like my stomach and everything had been removed. It was really strange. It was awful. And my roommate at the time, she was actually my assistant, and she said to me, there's this book called A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson. It's not my type of thing, but I think it might help you. And she gave it to me. She got it next day delivery on Amazon. Put it in my room. The second I read it, I felt this awakening happen. I felt something happen where I felt things starting to lift. I felt things starting to clear. Now, I've missed out a part back in 2004 to 2007 where I was basically hospitalized and in bed dying for about 3 years. All my organs were glued together. My kidneys kept bleeding like I was going to die, and it was all big, yucky stuff. Oh my. Yeah, so during that 4-year period from 2003 sort of 4 up to beginning 2007, I read over 1,000 books and studied every aspect of religion and herbs and Reiki and whirling dervishes, and I mean I literally studied it all. And so I had a quite nice foundation. So when this took place in 2009 and my twin activated me, I then became very aware that there was something self-sabotaging within me. There was something within me that did not want me to be happy, that did not want my life to go in a good way. Because again, I'd been offered my whole dream. Everything that I'd ever dreamed of, I was offered it and I pushed it away.
Yeah.
So I realized that within me, there was something that wanted to destroy my life. And so I went on a mission. Again, I'd already done 1,000 books and nearly 20,000 hours of study. So I decided to do the same thing again. And this time I was going to study the ego, how, like what the ego is, where it came from, and how the hell to get rid of it. And I was not going to stop studying until I found the answer. So for 2 years, I studied, I did all this work, I did a lot of work. By 2011, I reached enlightenment, which basically means my ego's gone to sleep. It wakes up if I'm tired, sick, or hungry, but it is basically asleep. It's in the corner. And I now have over 30 women in the world who I've helped do the same thing for. So
Yeah. And like, it's funny that you say that you read that book, and that book kind of changed everything for you. Because the same thing, the same thing happened to me. Yeah.
The same book?
No, not the same book. But it's so funny because now, like years later, I can see what eventually led to my awakening. But there and then, I didn't know, like, because I didn't know anything about spirituality. So what happened to me when I had my awakening, so there are different factors that led to it. But one of those factors was that I was reading a book, and it was called The Conversation with God. It's by Neil Donald Walsh. So that was like one thing. I was reading the book, and it kind of awakened something within me.
Yes.
But at the same time, I was facing like one of the most challenging and most difficult times of my life. Like I say that now, but it's just an illusion. Like you think you have this massive problem, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's only in your head. So I was having this really difficult time, and the problem that I was facing was so hard for me to accept, because I really didn't want it to be that way. So I will not go into the problem. I will just tell a little bit around it. But after fighting this problem for like many months, one night I remember I was just lying in my bed. I was about to go to sleep. And I just said to myself, like, I accept it. I accept that this is how it is, and I can't change it. I totally surrendered to it, and I let go of everything. So that, on the one hand, I accepted my situation, no matter how hard it was, and I read that book that planted those seeds. And then, woo! Hallelujah!
Yeah, exactly. It was definitely my awakening definitely happened in 2009, like I said, as a result of my twin. But I do believe that I built this really lovely firm foundation from spending 3 or 4 years reading. I literally read from 8 in the morning until midnight at night, because I couldn't do anything else. I was in bed. I mean, I was in bed for 3 or 4 years, so I had nothing to do but read. So I really, and I have a very fast reading speed. It's a similar speed to Bill Gates, so I could get through a book within quite a short space of time. So I would literally go to the library, and I'd have like 20 books brought to me, and I would just get through them, and then another 20, and I was just reading everything I could. And I think that helped when the awakening happened. I then had this really great foundation to draw from also. But it was in that awakening where I really came into this place where I was like, I know what this thing is, and now I know how to starve it. And for myself, personally, because, you know, everyone in my community knows I share everything. And my main thing was my stepfather. My stepfather was forgiving him when I did. I have a forgiveness technique that's so deep and so thorough, nothing can escape it. It's deep. When I did that myself the first time, I physically retched like I was going to vomit. And the interesting thing was, in 2004, in what I call my pre-awakening, my mini kindergarten awakening, I remember then discovering that forgiveness was important. I remember discovering it, and I remember sitting there and trying to forgive everybody I knew and everything like that. I remember doing it. So that's why I have so much compassion for the women right now that are watching, that are trying to do this work. And they're like, but I'm trying to do it and nothing's happening. Here's the difference. What I did in 2004, I was just trying, but really I was just tickling it. The stuff I did in 2009, 2010 was the real stuff, and it literally purged it out of my body. It was gone. And that's the difference, you know, the real awakening work actually looks ugly when you're doing it. It sounds ugly, it feels ugly, there's loads of tears.
Yeah.
Because you're birthing a new you. It's not a simple
Yeah.
process. So anyone who you see that talks about the awakening like it's all wearing white and sitting there with crossed legs and no, it's not.
No.
It's not tickling. It's not fluffy and cute. It's a bit yucky at a time. But if you do it with the help of someone who knows what they're doing, they will literally guide you through it, and you'll be out the other side within a couple of weeks. So it can be short, sharp shock, but then you're out the other side, you know?
And I also think like you have different awakenings. Like the one I had, I didn't plan for it. It just happened. If I had known that that book and letting go would lead to that, like, and after that, I remember that I wanted everyone to experience the same thing as me. Because when I had my awakening, it was like instantly feeling good because I had escaped I did some obsessive thinking before. I spent a lot of time thinking and thinking. So I was like an overthinker before. And that's immediately when I had my awakening, because that was the thing that I had the biggest issue with, was overthinking situation. So when I had my awakening, that kind of just disappeared. And I haven't had that after that. Like I think, but not in an obsessive or like ruining way, like it's bad for me.
Yeah.
Because when I see that I go that path, I just stop it immediately because I know nothing good will come from it.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing, because people need to realize we are the observer in our mind. We are not the voice. We have the higher self and we have the ego. We are the silent observer. So when you hear a voice, if it's good, it's your higher self, it's your connection to God. If it's ego, then it's actually being created by thoughts of separation from God. So we are the silent observer, and it's so important for everyone to realize that. Don't just grab the two together and call it me. You know, the most popular question when I interview potential clients is I say to them, what's your biggest problem? Like, what's your biggest issue? They say myself. And I'm like, okay, well, once we split myself into ego and higher self and the silent observer, you'll be just fine. Don't worry. You know, you are not your ego. You just need to learn about it and starve it. You know, you need to be able to remove its food, and its food is negative emotions. And a lot of those negative emotions are subconscious. They're from our past, our childhood. A lot of them from our parents, they're ancestral. So and remember, the ego's been there since the day you arrived on this planet. So no wonder you think it's you. It's always been there. But it is possible to differentiate from it and become separate from it and be able to observe it as a separate entity. It's possible. It can be done.
So like before, like I said, like I was doing some serious overthinking. Like I would put off time in the day just to sit and think. Like that is how bad it was before.
Did you enjoy it? Because I'll be honest with you, I think I used to be quite amused by myself. When I still thought of myself as the two voices, I was quite amused by it. I found my ego quite amusing. It was only when it was making me angry, which scared me, and when it was making me make bad decisions and have bad habits, that it wasn't such a good thing. But when it was just me and it walking down the street or sitting in my house, I found it quite amusing. And I think that's why a lot of people get tricked into not doing the work. They get tricked into not doing the work to release it because they don't realize it's hurting them, because they actually find it quite familiar and comforting and entertaining even. Yeah.
And in a way, it makes you think. Like when it comes to overthinking, your ego will try to trick you to think that you have to. It will make you believe that you have to think. If you just think hard enough about one problem, it will just magically solve itself.
Oh my God, my angels just had a really clear message. They want everyone to write this down. They said this is impactful. And they just showed it like some movie where deep impact, where there's something about something in the earth. I don't know, but they just showed deep impact.
Oh,
okay. So here we are.
Yeah.
Very simple. Don't think, listen. That's it.
Yeah.
But they want you to write it down. Don't think, listen. Because here's the thing. When you're thinking, you're an ego. When you're listening, you are listening for your higher self and for messages from God. Because here's the thing, you might think that you're listening to the ego, but you will actually be aware that what happens is this. This is where we're going to get a bit technical. Imagine, here's your ear. Okay. You think you're listening to ego. What actually really happens is the ego starts shouting and forcing stuff in your ear, and you just start believing it. But I don't think we ever actively listen to our ego. I don't think we ever consciously think, I'm going to listen, and then the ego speaks.
No.
Ego isn't clever like that. The ego is the reptilian brain. It just shouts and changes its mind and wiggles all over the place, just trying to get a negative emotion out of you. So don't think, listen. Right now, if 23 women on this planet stop thinking and just listen, and that's just I'm trying to get the words because I'm kind of channeling here. That's the writing that they live by. This will start shifting the planet, because this is literally the answer. Don't think, listen. And again, I only just got this while we're here. I would never have known about this before. This is kind of how my guidance works. I was thinking this morning, I was like, oh, I say thinking, but if someone had asked me a couple of weeks ago, you know, were we going to have all the coordinators doing tarot card readings on the community? I'd have looked at them like they were mad. I'd have been like, what are you talking about? And here we are. We're completely doing a complete change, you know. So just know that this stuff does just come in out of nowhere. And that's so no more thinking, guys. No more thinking. We're either actively listening, or we're blocking the whispers and lies. We're blocking it and saying, no, not listening to your bullshit. No. Or we're listening. And we're like, okay. And the great thing about listening is you can get up and start cleaning the kitchen. You can run the bath. You can dance around. You can go walk in nature, because the higher self becomes easier to hear when you just are open to hearing.
Yes, when you quiet the ego.
Be in the present.
And that is like the big breakthrough for me, was to like even just understand that I had an ego. Like I have an ego. You have it, but you don't need to listen to it. You just have it. You have it over here, and whenever it comes to you and try to make some suggestions to do anything, you're like, no, you're not allowed to speak now. We'll just sit over there. You just have to tell yourself, like, this is me. It's my ego. It's trying to protect me in a very weird way. But you have it. Like you can't tame your ego. It will never go away. But you can just try to be friends with it and know when it comes to you and when it's trying to take over. And you're like, no.
I mean, I do personally like to see it as an enemy, because I don't, even though the old me, before my awakening, I was amused by it. Now, I'm like, go away. Like, go away. You have nothing good to say. You have nothing good to bring to the table. Go sit in the corner and shut up. And I'm trying not to swear too much, but you understand what I'm saying. So, literally, but here's the difference. This is the piece of the puzzle that a lot of people are missing. And Tabine mentioned it when she talked about the childhood wounds, and I mentioned it when I talked about my stepdad and things. When you go through your life and clear out the wounds, what it does is it removes the food of the ego, so it gets sleepy and it gets lethargic. So if you are still thinking negative thoughts, and if you still feel like you if you're still holding things against people, if you're still having that kind of feeling, you know, yours is still well fed. The difference is between myself and Tabine and a lot of other people in the world is our ego is skinny and weak and lethargic, and it's been injected with some anesthetic. I mean, it's really not in a good way, you know, whereas a lot of other people's is literally like a heavyweight boxer jumping about, ready to go, ready to destroy your life. So this is, trust me, mine was the heavyweight of heavyweight boxers. I even dated a heavyweight boxer briefly. That's interesting. But like literally, you know, most egos are heavyweight boxers. The difference is even a heavyweight boxer, if you starve him and put some, you know, anesthetic in his arm, he's not going to be that much of a fighting person anymore. No. He's going to sit in the corner and go, ooh. That's what we've done to our egos. So please understand, guys, don't try and outsmart the ego if it is still a champion boxer in there. Make sure you weaken it first, then it's easy to ignore. If you're in the ring with a real boxer, that shit's hard to avoid. But if you're in the ring with a boxer that's passed out in the corner, it's not that worrying, you know?
No, no. That is like the big breakthrough is to become conscious of your ego and not to listen to it, because when you're not listening to it, you're listening to your true self, and that is when the real progress in your life starts to happen. So for me personally, when I started doing mindfulness and to realize that some things that happened to me in my childhood affected my current life, when I became conscious of that and stopped reacting to what people said to me or certain situation, it changed my whole life. And it just slowly faded away, that reaction and those thoughts, because I knew where it came from and I didn't give it any energy. So it just faded away and disappeared. And that is like healing. That is what it's all about.
That is what it is. That is what it is.
Yeah.
And let's have a look what we've got here. Sometimes I watch the ego voice and the conscious voice have a dialogue. I mean, yes, it's possible. It's possible. Everyone's at different stages of anesthetizing their ego. Like I said, sometimes people, a lot of this world, theirs are still boxers. So please have compassion for them, because they are walking around with a boxer in their head, and that's a pretty tough opponent.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, what differentiates us is ours is no longer heavyweight. He's skinny. He's frail. He's weak. He's tired. He's exhausted. He's drained. That's why our egos are a little bit easier for us to handle, but we did the work to get him to that state. So obviously the conditions, that's the extremes. I don't believe in actually speaking about killing the ego, because it's still alive and breathing. And he is still alive and breathing. And if I'm tired, sick or hungry, he will wake up. Now, obviously, again, mine has been knocked out for so long that when he does wake up, he's still woozy and he's pretty harmless, but he does try and wake up. Now, again, I'm an expert on the ego. This is all I do. This is my full-time job. I do nothing else on this planet, guys. This is all I do. Is talk with beautiful women like Tabin and help really successful professional women get rid of their ego. That's all I do. So just know that it's never gone. There is one possible way which we could talk about slightly, and that is that when twin flames are in full unconditional love union, then the ego does kind of go into an endless sleep, like Sleeping Beauty. It does stay there, because when you're in unconditional love with your twin flame, it has nowhere to live. It just has nowhere
there's no room for it.
Yeah, and so that is the only way to kill it, is to be in union with your twin flame. Now, again, we all know that that's not an easy thing, because there's so much trying to stop that happening here on Earth. But at the same time, we are about to come into a period of huge amounts of twinning, which is where the unions will start taking place. So that is the only way that it will go into a permanent coma. I still don't like the word kill. I feel like permanent coma feels more appropriate, but it's the only time I'll allow, in my mind, for someone to say I've killed it. I'll be like, well, if you're in twin flame union, you probably are in that state.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even for myself, who has been enlightened since 2011, and my ego has been asleep since 2011, it just makes murmurs occasionally. And the murmurs, I can literally hear its voice. I hear the actual words it says, and I laugh at it. It says some pretty horrid things, actually. The darkness loves to use my dog as the thing to try and pull my vibration down, because my dog is my whole world. I absolutely love him. I just absolutely love him beyond anything in the world. I tell him he's my whole world every day, all day. And so they'll say something silly, like I remember a year and a half ago, I was walking outside and my ego said, what's the point of him? And I was like, what? And then when I came home, I just was like, well, I may as well respond to this ego. I just said, he is love. He is love. Yeah. That's the point of him. He is love. And then it shut up. So I'm talking about, that's how vaguely mine pops up, as I can literally tell you the exact words it said 2 years ago, you know. Yeah. It's very vague when it, you know, it's very infrequent that I hear from mine, but because my head is so quiet and silent, when it does speak and it's not my angels, I can actually tell its voice. I can hear its actual voice. Yeah. It's really clear as day. And that's because I've gotten to this point of silent mind. And I've been there for a long time. I mean, it's, 9 years of silent mind.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know, darling, what can we recommend to everybody that they can do that can really help them in the now?
I saw that somebody was making a comment about how do you calm your ego when you're in separation from your twin?
Oh, yeah. That's a great
So I just wanted to say something about that, because
yes.
I had my spiritual awakening in 2013, and that was like the awakening of coming out of my mind to be freed from overthinking. But when I met my twin 2 years ago, it suddenly came a little bit back. But I understand it was my twin that was mirroring to me and like making the last of the healing to resurface. So when I met my twin, it was like, boom, the ego was there again and making me do all these crazy things. And that is also when I met him and these things started to happen, I was like, I don't recognize myself. I was like doing this childish behavior. I was trying to get certain reactions from my twin to see if he still cared about me. I was like, who is this person? And I thought that I was over it. I thought that I healed that, But it came back when I met my twin. But I understand it was for a reason, like to resurface the last bit of healing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Honey, I'm just laughing because I literally acted like a 3-year-old having a tantrum with my twin, which is why we're not together, because I just kept having tantrums for no apparent reason. And then the last time he asked for my number, God orchestrated us meeting in a club, and the people I was with had invited him there. I didn't know. And so me and him were in the same section. And again, he's very famous. So I remember his bodyguard saying, you need to leave this section. I went, honey, you're in my fucking section. And so it was really funny because and then he saw it was me and he asked my number. Anyway, I get in the car to leave and people were even trying to show him me. They were like, look at her, look at her. And I was like, oh, he knows who I am. And I jump in the car, and on the way home, my ego, I'd drunk an entire bottle of champagne to myself. My ego told me, he's not going to call you tonight. Switch off your phone. And even though I'd done quite a bit of learning, I still switched off my phone. It was the entire bottle of champagne I drunk from the bottle by myself was the reason. But the point was that I switched off my phone. So then the next day I wake up and he texted me 1 minute after we'd left the club asking me if we could go for breakfast. And so then he just was like, she's playing mind games with me. And of course, I'd left with 2 guys. I left with the 2 guys that were running the section that ran the club. So I leave with 2 guys and I switch off my phone. And he'd put out an entire record. He put out a record called, she said, Leave You Alone. Because I basically, the last time I'd seen him, I sent him a text message saying, I have to leave you alone. And then I didn't contact him again. He put out this record called Leave You Alone with Neo. And when I heard it in England, I started crying and I was like, oh no. Oh. And so I came back to America and that's when me and him ran into each other in the club. So I flew across the world to try and make things up with him. I get given the perfect opportunity. We're in the same section at the club. He asked my number and then I switched my phone off. And then he's upset again and now he's back to thinking I'm just trying to break his heart again. So this is how all this stuff works, guys, Yeah. So I have a simple answer for the question though about how to calm your ego in separation. In my training, in my program with my clients, and again, my program consists mainly of women over 35 that are very successful in their professional lives. They've got their stable families and they're in a pretty good place. I call them the 6 7s and the 8 9s. So from 0 to 10, if 0 is very depressed and 10 is on top of the world, my clients tend to be 6 7s and 8 9s. I do have somebody I can recommend 5s and below too. Her name's Janet Gracie. She's amazing. I did a live with her yesterday or the day before. Anyway, so what I say to them is this. If someone's happily married, fine, that's a great thing. They do really well in my program. But a lot of my program are twin flames. They're divine feminines that are in separation. I say to them, look, just don't date and don't have any contact with your twin for the next 6 weeks. Let's just get your ego to sleep. Let's weaken it so much. And now if a lady dates or has contact with their twin during that 6 weeks, it sets back their progress so much, because I believe there's two aspects to ego. There's ego and romantic ego. And we have to heal ego before we can heal the romantic ego, because romantic ego is an absolute bastard. I mean, that's the only word for it. Romantic ego. And the reason why is, do you remember I just said to you girls that the only way to kill the ego is to be in an unconditional love relationship with your twin flame? So basically, romantic ego is so defensive and protective of making sure you do not end up in a happy relationship. It is with everything on earth. It is pulling out all the stops. It's pulling out everything it's got. It's pulling out every wound from when you were 3 and you didn't get the chocolate you wanted. It's doing everything it can possibly do. So what I say is to take a break from the men for that 6-week period, do the inner work, put your ego to sleep, then we work on the romantic ego, because the romantic ego, now you understand the ego and your ego is in this weakened position. Now when the romantic ego starts its bullshit, you have a better chance of being able to stop it from creating dysfunction in your life. So separating ego and romantic ego. My mum was trying to call me, bless her.
Okay.
But yes, separating romantic ego and getting the ego work done on yourself, which is your own childhood wounds, your own forgiveness. Get all that done first, and that will create so much more, because your intuition will come on. You'll start getting more in mission. You know, myself and Sabine, you're not in union at the moment, are you, darling? No. So both of us are not in union, but we're fully in mission, as you can tell, and we're fully chilled and happy and content and trusting in God and trusting in life. And I'm so grateful to my twin for the activation. I'm so glad to have been able to help so many women in the world. And I see him progressing and getting higher and higher. And obviously where he is well known and famous, a lot of people can see it too. They can see him putting out more and more positive content and getting positive, you know. That's something I've been told to talk about, though, is that with the coronavirus, a lot of twins are going to have a bit of a wake-up call about what's truly important during this time as well. Especially because, like, my twin is in a fake relationship that it's like a platonic fake celebrity publicity stunt relationship. And, you know, to do that when the world is in such chaos and threat, it should hopefully make him become a little bit more aware of, like, what's really important, like, who do I really want to be with in a time of crisis, you know, what do I really want to be doing? And, you know, at the end of the day, one thing that's probably for everybody is you realize how important family is, you know. And that's your soul family, your sisters, and then it's also your blood family that birthed you, and your parents and your siblings and your cousins and everything. And you realize how important they are. And I believe that is what's going to be the blessing that comes out of this, is that people are going to just get back to basics a bit, you know?
Yeah, to what truly matters.
Exactly.
And I also feel like you said, twins in separation, and you recommend them to, like, focus on themselves. To some degree, I don't think that we are fully able to work on ourselves as long as we're in communication with our twin, because, you know, the feelings are so intense and they make you lose focus. So it's good to have that separation where you fully focus on yourself and to evolve. And it's hard when you're still, because when you're still in contact with your twin, is all these messages and what is he thinking right now and blah blah blah, you know, and that takes all of your energy. But you have to stop that. You have to take this separation and just focus on yourself and working on yourself. You can't do that as in communication or talking to them, because they will take all your focus.
Absolutely. I mean, this is what I say. I mean, if I was in union with my twin right now, I wouldn't be here with you guys. I'd be off with him somewhere doing something. So you see what I'm saying? So I'm meant to be where I'm meant to be, so I can serve who I'm meant to serve when I'm meant to serve them. And that is what it is right now, you know? And so the thing is you have to take care of you. A lovely lady on here was saying Clodial Silver to protect yourself from the virus. Yes, Clodial Silver is great. Also Moducare, 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 if someone wants to type that. It increases your immune system by 900%, and it's just made from vegetables. It's like taking a wheelbarrow full of vegetables, but it's proven to improve the immune system by 900% in healthy adult marathon runners. So in healthy adults, it increases the immune system by 900%. I take 2 every day because I have Lyme disease in my body, but I've asked my dad to start taking 2 a day, and everybody else, I just say have some in the cupboard. You could take 1 a day now, 2 a day now if you want. Do whatever you're guided to do. Look above, darling. June is one of my clients. She's typed it in there. Modu Care, just got it from Amazon. And then there's a lovely lady there who's in lockdown in Italy. I think all of us, I don't like the word quarantine. I personally just think, can't they just say forced rest, forced home time? Because at the end of the day, it's like, it's such a scary word when really we're all just, you know, we all used to like having days off from work and being at home. We're just being at home, guys. Let's just be at home.
Yeah.
Now, maybe there is some dreadful places and some people are being held in dreadful places. For me, that's quarantine. Quarantine is being held out of your home. But if you're at home, isn't that more like, you know, I don't know. It's like with prison, you know, people go to prison and that's awful. And then you have house arrest. I mean, house arrest is basically you're at home. So I just think it's important that we realize, you know, being at home and being with your loved ones, and we just have to love our older family relatives by keep staying at home. That's all we're doing, guys. This thing's going to disappear. I hate to give numbers, but I mean, just check back in 2 or 3 weeks. In 2 or 3 weeks, this might have just been like, literally, my angels are just showing me those, oh gosh, you know, in the desert where you have the things that move along and they're like wheels. And it means like, it means that everything's like empty and what's that called? Does anyone know?
I don't know.
The things, it's like grass that's gone into circles. And it's like, and you have it in the desert. Well, they just showed me that in 2 or 3 weeks' time. So I do feel like, or another way of describing it, crickets, you know, it's like there will be crickets, not bales of hay. They're like the circles that spin on in the land. It's like dry grass and it goes in circles. And tumbleweeds, maybe it's tumbleweed. Yeah, it could be tumbleweeds, but they're like tumbleweeds, and you just see it in the desert. It's like where everything's cold and quiet and still. And that my angels just showed me tumbleweeds in like 2-3 weeks, and then they said crickets for anyone that didn't understand that. So this isn't going to last long, guys. Let's stay really focused. The key thing to learn about the ego is the ego always likes to worry about the future and feel guilt or resentment or regret about the past. So here's the thing, the way to cope with this coronavirus is to literally take 1 day at a time and be in the present. Like today, I'm at home. Today, I need bananas. I'm hoping Walmart has some bananas. I'd like to buy some, but it's just today. Does that make sense? Let's not worry about next week. We'll worry about next week when we get there, okay? So doing everything 1 day at a time and make the most of this time. My angels are really, really funny. So I'm going to tell you what they said because they thought they were really amusing with this. They said, girls, why don't you spend the next 2-3 weeks doing loads of glute exercises so in the summer you can walk around with your new booties?
Yeah.
And use this time for some at-home glute exercises.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, you know, and then in our bikinis we'll look extra great. So there you go.
Yeah. It's a win-win situation.
So this is a very grounding time. Things are going to be good. Things are going to be good.
Yeah.
We just have to get through it. We just do. And then, like I said, there's going to be lots of lovely advice on Empress Evolution, and any ladies that want to find out more about what I do about putting the ego to sleep. A lot of my clients obviously are on here, but if you're not one of my clients and you want to do a free call, you can just book one. I don't charge anything for it, and I can go through your individual situation and make some recommendations. And if you're not suitable for me, I'll recommend somebody else. And then anybody that's not done a reading with Tabine, then you just need to book that in because she's amazing.
Maybe.
So there you go. And the great thing is that having a reader that complements what I do. I always suggest my clients do readings because I work on clearing out the ego. I get that bit together, and then to have a nice, fun, laser focused reading from someone like Tabine, it complements. And the same for Tabine, you know, for her to recommend girls come and do the long-term work with me. And I say long term, we knock it out in 6 weeks, but then a lot of the girls stay with me because we work on divine purpose and achieving abundance and stuff like that. But the first thing we do is get that ego under control. That shit's got to go.
Okay, so it's telling me that we have 20 seconds left of this live.
Okay.
So it went by so fast.
Yes, so she's going to repost this and I will direct you to the replay. And I'm going to jump on and just do it once over on my own in the community.
Yeah.
Go through the changes. Love you.
Okay, bye.
Love you. Love you, everybody. Love you, to be.
Love you.
Bye.